Hey, this is Mr. T. That makes me mad that somebody don't listen. If you paid attention to what I was telling you, we would have got there on time. When you drive with Mr. T, one thing we don't like the rush. That's what the T stand for. We're going to get there on time, and we're going to get there without any traffic violation.
We're talking about that's like one of those typical things you get it for GPS. Sometimes you can get celebrity voices. Sometimes you can get your GPS. If you have enough money, you could probably get your own voice on your own GPS. There's a lady out in California. She had a GPS app on her phone that her boss could literally follow her everywhere she was going, and apparently he was joking with her, saying, hey, I know how fast you're going when you're going from home to work and everything like that. And she didn't like that idea because she thought, this guy's kind of being creepy, and she decided, you know what, I don't want this app on my phone anymore. And she deleted it, and then shortly after that, she was fired. Her name is Myrna Ernest, and she's suing her former employee of Intermex. It's a wire transfer business that lets customers send money to Latin America. The lawsuit filed last week in California State Court accused Intermex of invading her privacy, wrongful termination, and unfair business practices, and she's seeking $500,000 in lost wages. I don't know what kind of job that you've got, but if you have those kind of wages, you could follow me to the bathroom if you want to. I don't care. And I don't think
I was just thinking that, and you complained about this. Why?
Exactly. I know some people take the privacy thing very seriously, and we live in a whole different society than we did, say, 30 years ago. We didn't have access to GPS, things like that, and things like this on your smartphone or whatever. They can literally track everywhere you go. And because your smartphone does track you. If this woman had an app on her phone that has to track where you're at for 24 hours a day, then that it is a work phone, because apparently, from what I understand, from what I've been reading on this was a work phone. She didn't have her own personal phone. She had the phone that was given to her by work. I don't know if she was required to keep this phone on her at all times or not. If nothing else, what she should have done is either just put the phone in airplane mode or get your own fucking phone. And this way you can just leave that phone at home and then go do your business elsewhere. I worked at another place a couple of years back, and I didn't have the money for a cell phone because it was a little bit more expensive than they are now. Now you can get them for like, a penny or some shit. But I was using their work phone. So whatever apps that they had on there, even though it was just a generic flip phone, but if it would have been a smartphone that I would have had, and they have an app that says, I got to track you wherever you go, then I would say, this is your equipment. I'm not going to touch it. In fact, a few years back, there was people who were sending messages, emails on computers that were by the companies, and the courts said, hey, since these are company equipment, and even though these are private emails, the company can access these emails because it's on their equipment. And this lady, what she did was wrong all the way around, because she deleted an app that was supposed to track her on a company phone. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're right on that assessment. Because it was a company phone, they can require her to put whatever app on there. It's kind of weird that they were tracking her when she wasn't at work. If I had a work phone like that had an app like that, I would have just left it at work at night and picked it up again in the morning, and not brought it home on the weekends or anything like that. If it's a work phone, then I don't need it when I'm not at work. A friend of mine, he works for a driving company, and the drivers are dispatched with iPads, and the dispatcher can see where all the drivers are on a computer screen. And it used to be where, like, the driver, if they had to go do something, they could just sneak off and go do something. Well, now the dispatcher could see where all of them are, and they tell them, like, you go here, you go there. And so what the drivers very quickly realize is if they put the iPad, if they go to where the dispatcher tells them to go, and they put the iPad into airplane mode, they can then run off and do whatever they got to do. And on the map in the dispatcher's office, it looks like the iPad is still in that spot. Like it doesn't take into account that it's now not connected and running across town to go to the bank and pick up the dry cleaning and.
Where could we wear it?
That sounds a lot like when I worked I used to drive school bus, and I would hear this. They would take a bunch of people down to wherever, and then the bus driver would say, drop these people off, for the company. It was some kind of like company event or whatever. People would pay extra to go somewhere for like shopping malls, shopping for holidays or whatever, and then the driver would take the bus and go somewhere else. Those didn't have GPSs in them. I don't know if they do now, but they could just take off with the thing there, and they don't have to worry about the mileage. But this situation here, the fact is that because they can track them literally everywhere they go. In fact, earlier this evening, for my job, I found out we have a special phone that has a special tracking app on there, and it has to be on that phone, and if we have to make a special delivery. I've never had to do this yet, so I was unaware of this. But they said was from the manager, said if you're going to start doing this, you want to put it on your phone, because this phone's unavailable or whatever, then you have to put that tracking app so we can track you 24 hours a day on your phone, on your own personal phone. I was like, we talked about this story on Wednesday at the staff meeting, and I was shocked a little bit to say here our human resources personnel said that we have to put these apps onto our phones. Fortunately for me, since I have an iPhone, they don't have an app for that particular application for my phone yet. So I'm still, relatively free. And they did say it tracks you 24 hours a day. So
you're off the leash for now?
Yeah, I'm off the leash for now. So, Connie, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I think that what the supervisor said was in a joking capacity. Mm-hmm. And that's it's a whole separate issue, whether or not he was actually watching how far she was driving and how fast she's going. The position that this woman had is she's a sales rep. They're trying to go out there and try and drum up more business to put their machines so the money transfers in new places. And I was sitting there thinking, gosh, if I was a sales rep, and I'm sorry, but, and you're a woman, I would think that having a GPS on my company phone would be a real peace of mind thing, because they see where you're at. They see what you've been doing, where you're going. Because if something happens to you, you're having, a drink with a possible customer or whatever.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to know where you were, or at least where you were last.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is company property. She's altering or destroying company property. I wouldn't think it'd be any different than if she went into the company computer and decided, well, she didn't want to have this particular app in there, this particular program. She just changed it. If they really were monitoring her 24/7, then
Mm-hmm.
that's a separate issue.
Right.
But I don't think that that's what they were doing. And I don't think that her boss was harassing her. If he was harassing her and stalking her, again, that's a separate issue.
Oh, absolutely. That's a separate issue.
Yeah. I don't know. And I just think that in cases like this where you're logging in hours, if you're a driver, or if you are a sales rep, and I can understand why a company wouldn't want to just be paying you for sitting there and twiddling your thumbs. Yeah. Another way to keep track of productivity. So there's got to be a happy balance somewhere between, cracking the whip and actually having employees who are doing the work.
Right.
It could be that they're not getting the numbers that they need, and so they say, okay, well, this is a way that we can know, where we see that you're going out here. We see that you actually physically went to the store, because we can look at the GPS and say, okay, you made the trip, and we just aren't seeing any fruit. Maybe it's a way of saying, all right, well, we're not, we need to drum up more business in this area or canvas more places in this other area. So this is actually probably a really useful tool for her company, and it's really a shame that she's going to sit here and sue them. I hope she doesn't get it, to be honest.
Right.
So anyway, that's what I think.
I don't think. I think you're right in this instance. I don't think she's going to get it. I really don't think. I don't think she's going to win in this, because this was a if it turns out it was a company phone, and she deleted this app, then she's most likely not going to win. If this was her own personal phone, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Because then she really has no choice in the matter, and then there's no reason why she should have to go out and buy a second phone to keep from her work. I mean, that's a whole different kettle of fish there. Torvian said there are some people that say that if she wasn't doing something wrong, she wouldn't mind being tracked. That's like saying, hey, you're not doing anything wrong. Why shouldn't you worry about the cops looking into what you're doing? Same thing.
That's also true.
Yeah. I remember Dan, from earlier in the show's history, he would say stuff. He would talk about this in more depth than I would, and because he knew quite a bit about it. This is a whole different situation nowadays. That if companies want to know where you're at, because it's part of your job, if they give you a work phone, and if you delete an app off of that phone, then I'm sorry, but you're in the wrong. I mean, this is their equipment, and this is what they expect to be on it.